Welcome, 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 trivalent beings of spirit, mind, and body. Time for the Ask Doc Alkebulanese Solutions show, sponsored by Prometheus Reborn Universal Foundation, also known as Proof. Its mission is to spread the trivalent understanding noetics, featuring stand-up philosophy that includes anthropology, psychology, biology, metaphysics, medicine, psychodrama, comedy, and music through a genre called edutainment, educating while entertaining, coined by KRS-One. The host of this wonderful show is Dr. Kwaku L. Carlisle Woods, RN, MD, MED-D1, and myself, co-host, Dr. Hamida Rockman Woods, MED, PhD, MED-D2.
Greetings all. Today's show includes both of us, of course. I have the PH and he has the
M.
We
both have D's. That makes us Doc².
The title of today's show is Ameri-Can't or Ameri-Can't.
Yes, that is the title of the show, but we have a dual show today. The first portion of the show, Ameri-Can't or Ameri-Can't. Mm-hmm. Now, I live in the United States of America, and the United States of America has been called the greatest country on earth.
Yes.
It's been called that. Mm-hmm. But I have a tendency not to look at just what people say. I have a tendency to try to look for things called facts, truth. Mm-hmm. Now, the facts are that the United States of America is 197th in infant mortality. That's, of course, how many children are born. Mm-hmm. But that is very significant because the next number is length of life, and we are 49th. The United States of America is 49th in length of life. Mm-hmm. We are 197 in how many children are born, and we are 50th in how long they live. We are 27th in math, and math is basically thinking logically. We are 22nd in science, and that's basically how things work. We are 7th in literacy. Being able just to simply read and write, we are number 7. The only thing that we are in the top 5 in is we are 3rd in median household income. We are 4th in exports, and we are 4th in our labor force. Now, our labor force is primarily non-pink and poor pink people. Mm-hmm. And we're, 4th in that. Now, we lead all countries in only 3 categories. Number 1, we are number 1 in the number of incarcerated citizens per capita. Mm-hmm. Now, believe it or not, that is the result of the 13th Amendment. We never abolished slavery. The United States of America simply said you can't make a person a slave until you first make them a criminal. Mm-hmm. You have to charge them with an offense, and then you can keep them as slaves. And our country is number 1 on the planet with the number of incarcerated citizens per capita. Pink people don't think well, and that's why, we still have slavery. Mm-hmm. We are number 1 in defense spending because of the fear that most pink people have been trained to embrace for 2,000 years. they have always been taught that you had to look out for others, people who didn't look like you, people who didn't worship like you, people who did not pray like you, people who didn't speak the same language that you speak, people that had a different culture or ethnic background. Pink people were taught to avoid and perhaps hate to the point where they killed them for very little and sometimes absolutely no reason. And the third thing that we lead all the countries of this world in is the number of adults who believe in angels. That's what the United States leads citizens of other countries in. Again, we are taught and told America is the greatest country on the earth. No, that's again basically due to a whole bunch of the fears and the not being able to think well that affect pink people. Now, I've said that several times, and I haven't told you what that means, not thinking well. Well. The definition of well means enabling or beneficial. Another definition is in good condition. Very well is said to be correct and appropriate. Images of well include excellently, smoothly, and satisfactory. And thinking well is thinking in detail, especially in relationship to one's knowledge. Pink people have been taught not to think well, not to think beneficial, not to think enabling or in good condition. They've been taught to think about fear. What can hurt me? What is the danger to me? What is threatening to me? And they see every situation as what is the potential danger? What is the potential threat? What is the thing that I need to watch out for? Because it sure ain't well.
Yes.
That's what pink people have been affected by for, again, 2,000 years, and they are still being affected by that now. The Ameri-Can't has to do with the things that Line 44.5 and the Republicans have been trying to make most Americans think about. What dangers, what problems, what things are threatening. That's really, really strange considering the fact that not all people who look pink are actually pink. Pink people are not classified by appearance, but by knowledge, intellect, and actions. We had a thing called the Civil War back in 1863 or so forth and so on. That was started by pink people to free our ancestors from enslavement. Back in the 60s, we had something called the Civil Rights Movement. That was, again, authored primarily by pink people. The NAACP started primarily by pink people.
Just a short side note, we want to say happy birthday to Martin Luther King.
Woo woo!
What he stood for, what he gave his life up for.
Absolutely.
Happens to
Civil
share the
rights.
same birthday as yours truly.
Okay, of course it does.
Oh.
Of course it does. Happy birthday, Mick.
Yes, man. Special.
That's my boy.
very special. Yeah.
For the last 20-some-odd years, he been
Yeah.
anyway. I love it. Okay. Liberal philosophies and movements, again, also done by pink people. And now we are about to flip
Ah,
the script.
spread.
I'm going to give you an insight and an introduction into the most controversial and most beneficial thing that nobody on this planet understands, or just about nobody. I talked to you about the America and the Ameri-Can't, and America being the greatest country on earth. The key phrase I would like to point to is on earth. Mm-hmm. On this planet, America is a portion, but this planet itself is a reason for celebration once you discover its effect on you.
Ashe-o.
There is a new movement that has just hit the world, and it's called grounding. Mm-hmm. It's also known as earthing. Mm-hmm. You might want to check out this thing called the Earthing movie. It's a remarkable science of grounding. You can see it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it starts off with Rebecca and Josh Tikal that are filmmakers. They did a film in which Rebecca was exposed to a toxic chemical that left her with skin rashes, cough, shortness of breath, and questionable problems with reproduction. They said she may not be able to reproduce. Yeah. This was especially significant since right after all this happened, she got pregnant and they had a miscarriage. Mm-hmm. She again became pregnant after the miscarriage and bore a healthy baby girl. Mm-hmm. This baby girl, however, had chronic disease and hospitalizations regularly for the first 2 years of her life. This led them to investigate many alternative health means for healing their child. They finally found, through a friend, a book called Earthing, with the premise that if you put your bare feet on the ground, your body can start to heal itself. For real, though? For real. Mm-hmm. For real. You are part of this planet, not this country. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Hot dog. You are a part of Earth, and most earthlings, human beings, plants, animals, all stay in contact with Earth.
Yes.
Except human beings. You can go to any other planet in our solar system and you won't be able to live. Why? Because the electromagnetic energy generated by this planet sustains, protects, and balances your own electromagnetic status. Everything that is alive on Earth is alive because they have electromagnetic energy keeping them alive.
Yes.
Almost every being, whoever developed on this planet over the past, 2 or 3 million years, except for the last 50 to 75 years, has always, I repeat, always been in contact with this planet. Mm-hmm. We wore shoes when we wore shoes that were made of animal hides. Mm-hmm. And they perfectly transduced electromagnetic energy from your body to this planet and from this planet to your body.
Now I understand why I felt so good in moccasins.
Woo-woo! You create energy by many means, though all of them create electromagnetic imbalances that cause inflammation, injury, and disease. Mm-hmm. Contact with the planet allows your body to exchange ions with the ground while decreasing imbalances, inflammation, and diseases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Steven Sinatra, I wonder if he's related to Frank. Dr. Steven Sinatra, MD, is a cardiologist and integrative medicine specialist who states that the electrons absorbed through your feet rebalances your electromagnetic spectrum when you're in contact with bare ground. Or it can be grass on it, but it can't be concrete or asphalt or bricks or anything else that would stop you to have contact with Earth, this planet. Now, Dr. James Logan Oshman, PhD, states that all of the systems of the body, from the cells through the tissues of every organ system in the body, goes to its initial setting when you're in contact with this planet. They all go back to normal from whatever state or situation they were in. Clint Ober. You're going to be hearing a lot of that. Clint Ober is the man who started the grounding movement. And the strangest thing to me, though when I thought about it, it wasn't strange at all, was that Clint Ober has no medical training, no scientific training, no experience in health that he knows of. Clint was an electronic engineer.
Yeah.
He's a man who started the grounding movement, and he states that most don't believe in grounding because it's just so simple. I didn't believe it myself for 20 years, he says, because it just didn't make sense. He states that the problem started when mankind found a way to create cheap, sturdy, protective shoes. You see, Clint grew up
Right.
with a Native American group of people, primarily Cheyennes and Crows. This was in Montana, the same year I was born, 1950. He was born, same. The Native Americans taught him you can't own land. When Europeans came here talking about we own this and who owns that, they were looking at him like,
Right.
for real? Can't nobody own land. Because didn't nobody make it. God made it. And because God made it, it's his.
/ hers.
Right, / hers. And its use is reserved for those the Most High chooses. The Native Americans walked this planet either barefoot or with shoes made of animal skins, just like all human beings before 1948. Shoes are a major portion of modern life. But in the last 50 to 75 years, a major change took place when Western man created synthetic substances, synthetic rubber, plastic, etc. And in 1960, we invented shoes with synthetic rubber soles. In 1960, we created PF flyers. Now, nobody don't remember that who's under 50. And if you're over 60, you know about it. But most folks do not know anything about it because PF flyers went away a long time ago. But they were the first tennis shoes with synthetic rubber soles. These started the tennis shoe revolution. And in the 80s, up into the 90s, Americans were known as the Nike revolution, the Nike generation, the Nike population. And that has expanded to the point that all over this planet, almost everybody, every day, wears not only rubber sole shoes, but generally they wear tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wear sports shoes.
And
Okay.
Boots. And boots.
And boots. Okay, from 1963 to 2023, my primary shoes were sneakers. 95% of all people walk separate from the earth, the planet that birthed them. My own stock, and I had to, once I read all this stuff and watched a few movies and got a couple of articles, I went through my own shoes. I'm a shoe fiend. I'm from St. Louis. Everybody in St. Louis is a shoe fiend. I got about 50 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating at all.
I bear witness, y'all.
I got about 50 pair of shoes. I went through every one of my 50 pair of shoes. You know how many I found that had leather soles? One.
Oh, no.
Hana in Korea. One pair of shoes among 50 had leather soles. It had a rubber heel, but it was the only one that had a leather sole. We are organisms that are born, live, grow, and depend entirely on the earth. Yet we have completely isolated ourselves from it. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
None.
That's why it was done by pink people. Clint, again, was an electronic technician, and he worked primarily laying TV cable that brought the internet to America, and figured that grounding himself might eliminate the interference that life introduced into his being. Through our modern exposures to electromagnetic radiation, TV, computers, smartphone, lights, appliances, we are constantly bathing ourselves in electromagnetic radiation. And through that, we become electrically charged with as much as 20 volts of electricity. Do you know how much, do you know what 20 volts can do? I can probably light this whole studio with half of that.
Imagine what that does to the nervous system.
Oh, I'm going to take your imagination on a little trip in just a moment. Okay. We become as much as 20 volts, which causes inflammation, injury, and disease. Our planet acts as a battery. The surface of the planet is negatively charged. The surface of the atmosphere above the planet, it's called the ionosphere, is positively charged. The sun cooks off electrons from our outer atmosphere and turns it positive. Those electrons go to our inner atmosphere and are collected and then sent into the planet. We call that lightning. Lightning.
Yeah.
Okay. We need those electric charges that go into the ground, like we need oxygen, food, or all the other things that the planet provides. Clint continued to work for cable companies until he created the world's first modem. And then he got rich. He got to be a multi-millionaire. At 49 years old, he was rich, living in a 40,000-foot cabin on a mountain in Breckenridge, Colorado. This man was so rich, he had $500,000 in artwork hanging over his toilet. And he says,
yes,
there was no other place to put them.
Right.
So he had,
Yeah.
$500,000 worth of artwork. In 1995, he got sick. Didn't know why. He wasn't in an accident. Didn't have any specific disease. He just suddenly felt weak, nauseated. He turned yellow. That's called being jaundiced. And when he was evaluated, they found out that his liver wasn't functioning. It was actually shutting down. They suggested that he go to surgery where they could remove most of the bad parts of his liver and see if he could recover from that. They did not know whether this would work, whether he would die or nothing. But with little choices, he went ahead and said, okay, let's do it. He was in surgery for removal of the injured liver, and he came out. When he went into surgery, he thought he was never going to wake up again. when he woke up sometime later in a recovery room and saw all his friends around, he said, wow, I didn't know y'all died too. Because he thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Okay, it took him quite a while after the surgery to recover his normal amount of strength and energy. It took him almost a year.
Yeah.
But when his energy returned, his lust for living the life that he had been living died.
Yes.
He took an RV to Sedona, Arizona, after giving away most of the things he had spent his life collecting.
Yeah, sure did.
His family, several members of the family, called psychiatrists and told them to go see him because he's gone crazy. He's giving away millions of dollars of stuff for nothing. He went on to Sedona, as I said, and while there, he wondered if shoes could be blocking the grounding effect that all electromagnetic sources need. He thought about that. He said, okay. Let me see about what I can do about this. So that night, he went to he went to the hardware store, and he got a roll of silver duct tape. It was metal duct tape that would conduct electricity. He also got some wire and a metal grounding wire. He wrapped the silver tape around the foot of his bed and around the head of his bed, and then took the wire and put a piece of tape on one end of the wire and stuck it onto the metal tape that he had wrapped the bed with. Right. The other end of the wire he ran out his window, wrapped it around a metal grounding rod, and stuck the grounding rod into the ground.
Yeah.
He then went into his bedroom, laid down, and went to sleep. He awakened the next morning, surprised and a little bit shocked, because he slept throughout the night without taking any pain pills, without taking any sleeping pills that he had been almost addicted to prior to this night. He went to decide, let me find out what the hell's going on. So he went to the University of Arizona Medical School and went through their library, and he found no medical literature on grounding, but they also had no reason or cause, we call it etiology in medicine, for multiple sclerosis, chronic pain, rheumatoid arthritis, and a whole bunch of other diseases that all seem to be associated some kind of way with electromagnetic energy. So he went to Los Angeles and tried to talk to a bunch of medical professionals who all laughed at him and said, "You crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Grounding yourself for what?" So So
side note, also he remembered that when he was a young boy that his Native American friend's mother told him he needed to remove his shoes before entering their home because shoes make you sick.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sweetheart. But again, the LA doctors all laughed at him until he found an anesthesiologist in San Diego. And this anesthesiologist didn't believe him, had no faith in what he said, but told him, "I don't believe you, but I'm going to take your case and prove how wrong you are." So they took 60 people and grounded them like he had been grounded. And the reports that these 60 people gave them back after just 2 days of being grounded was amazing. TMJ, PMS, inflammation, pain, all disappeared.
Yes.
All 60 people. They stated that the problems they had before with sleeping and resting went away. And they were resting fine. They printed the results of their study, and it ended up attracting scientists, physicists, doctors, and several others who were now all interested in this thing called grounding. Mm-hmm. What was grounding doing? Dr. Sinatra said, we need to look at its effects on inflammation in order to find out what it's doing. Now, the gentleman who started all this stuff said, well, I just thought inflammation was when you sprain your ankle and it swelled up. But Dr. Sinatra told him, no. Then he referred him to a Time magazine cover. Time magazine had a cover. They published an issue with the cover revealing a secret killer that was responsible for heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and many other diseases. That secret killer was inflammation. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Sinatra explained it somewhat like this. The most common protein in your body is a protein called collagen. Collagen, it basically makes up your body. Collagen makes up your bones, it makes up your muscles, it makes up all of your tendons and ligaments, it makes up every one of your organs, it makes up your skin, it makes up your brain, it makes up just about every part of your body. Collagen is a protein that sits in a gel. And the amount of that gel dictates what this collagen is going to be used for. Of course, the bones have a hell of a lot less gel than your skin. Your tendons have less gel. No, your tendons have more gel than your ligaments. Ligaments have less gel. But collagen in gel makes you up. Collagen absorbs electrons and releases them when you have an injury. These electrons cause destruction of the injured portion, whether that's cells and or tissues. Okay. But these same electrons can accumulate in normal tissue and cause inflammation. If your body does not get rid of these extra electrons that are floating around, you will have chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation, which basically means inflammation just about all the time, not only leads to disease, it will kill you. It will give you peripheral vascular disease. It will give you immune function dysfunction, like multiple sclerosis or sarcoid or any of those other diseases. Okay. And it will give you heart attacks, strokes, and many other things that will end up in you being bye-bye. Mm-hmm. And on into the next reality. If you are not regularly releasing these extra electrons, you may end up with chronic inflammatory disease where these electrons congregate. They can continue this undetected inflammation for months to years. And these can cause both disability and deaths. Last but not least, Richard Kotz, who was senior research scientist at North American Scientists for 10 years. He worked at the Environmental Protection Agency for 10 years before he, in 1980, started to work for the FDA. Now, he is the head guy that reviews medical devices and medical treatments to decide whether they're going to be authorized or okayed by the FDA for use in regular people. And he says less than 10% of those devices and techniques that apply actually get FDA approval. Now, Mr. Cox has a 92-year-old mother who's just a darling boy. Y'all ought to watch this movie and see her. She had a peripheral vascular disease that required her to have vein stripping periodically. They have to take her to surgery, put her to sleep, and go inside her veins and strip all of the accumulated gunk that's happened in her veins out. This is something that causes her to have decreased circulation, which means she's going to have decreased energy. She's going to have decreased immune factors. She's going to have just about all of her body functions decreased.
Will she benefit from vector augmentation?
Yes, she would. She most definitely would, but that's a whole other story. But Mr. Cox read the book on grounding and saw the earthing movie that I referred you to when we first started this section of the show. And he wondered if this might help his 92-year-old mother. So they have something called a grounding sheet that we just ordered. And they have something called a grounding pad. We also just ordered. You put the grounding sheet on your bed, and every night when you go to bed, it's connected to the ground outside, and every night it gets rid of all your excess electrons.
Okay.
He decided that he wanted to try this on his mama. So he bought a grounding sheet, and she slept on it for one night. She had had problems because she had played tennis all her life. And for some strange reason, she could not remember how to do a backhand. She had had to stop playing tennis. After that one night of being grounded, she suddenly had no problem with tennis, no problems with her extremities, no peripheral vascular disease. They stopped stripping her veins, and now she plays tennis 4 to 5 days a week with her son.
Yes.
She has a fully active life. She stays by herself. She cleans her own home. Yeah. She does her own cooking. The gentleman who had been the FDA authorized head guy says, in all my decades of research and testing, I have never experienced any response like this for any device. Dr. Cox ends his statement by saying, this is the biggest development in public health I have seen in my 3+ decades of work in that field. Now, you have to understand, this is the guy that they send all new stuff to. All innovations have to go through him and his crew. And they okay less than 10%. And he says this is the biggest thing he's seen and the best effect he's experienced in 30 years. Now, I got a problem with spinal stenosis because I fell down a mountain in Korea when I was 18 in 1968 April. And whenever there is a change in barometric pressure, I go through hell. Yeah. Right now, I'm going through hell. I am in pain down my leg and my back and my shoulders and both my arms, and I can't feel neither one of my fingers on either hand.
Right.
But 3 days ago, we saw this movie and got into grounding. I set up a grounding station at my house behind our garage. And I and my wife have been going out periodically, sitting on this bench and putting our feet with my one pair of leather shoes
And I have cotton booties.
on the grass.
Yes.
And sitting there. I have done it maybe for a total of an hour. 10, 15 minutes each time. In that period of time, my pain has gotten less. The stiffness has improved. I have much less discomfort from changes in the weather. Because as everybody in Cleveland knows, in the past 10 days,
Up and down, all around. Yes.
it will snow, and an hour and a half later, it is 50 degrees.
Right. And for me personally, it eased my anxiety. I felt calmer, and that was really appreciated during the winter time.
Yes.
To be able to go outside and put my foot on the ground with cotton boot booties. They were boot booties. They weren't just a little too thin, so I won't be cold. But it was very calming,
Yes.
therapeutic, I would say.
I would think that at least some of the joy and calmness and peace that human beings feel in the summer is due to the fact that it's only during the summer that they take their shoes off and walk barefoot
Yes.
on the ground.
Yes.
They go to places called beaches just so they can do that during the summer.
And parks.
And every day, every time, you feel better once you do that.
Yeah. Go home and sleep well.
Yes. And at least a portion of this is due to the fact that your electromagnetic spectrum
Yeah.
has been normalized. And a lot of the chronic inflammation that you don't even know you got has been taken away. I plan on doing this the rest of my life.
In addition to the other tools that the Trivalent Understanding presents.
This is going to be a tool of the Trivalent Understanding Noetics. Grounding has officially joined it with the Trivalent Understanding tools. Now, we got anybody calling to ask me a question? Nope. Okay.
And we're good timing. It is good timing.
What time is it?
8:51.
Okay.
Very good timing.
It's 8:51.
We got time to play our music.
We got time to play the music.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
This is the world we live in, I believe.
Yes. I've got a song that gives you an insight into this place that we are living. Okay, the man channel said, welcome. And Masai, you've been
describing
ailments that I have.
Yeah.
Then you've been also given a solution and a treatment for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. You must have asked the Most High for assistance.
There it
Now
is.
you got it.
There it is.
Solutions.
Absolutely. We love it.
Alkebulanese Solutions Show.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
what it's all about.
We are trained to live the life that we live, and we've been trained by the most ignorant people on the planet Earth. We have been trained by pink people, and these are the same pink people that the Roman Catholic Church said all of that science and all of that pharmacology and all of that biology
And all that awareness.
all that awareness. Get rid of that. Forget that. That's evil. That's sinful. That might be satanic.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it now against folks that are woke.
Yes.
You got a problem against people being aware? You got a problem about people understanding? Yeah. Pink people have always had a problem because they don't want to understand themselves.
Yeah, you got a problem with people wanting to stand erect instead of still crawling around spiritually, mentally, and physically.
You got the problem
Like a
is
caveman?
you.
Yeah.
But that's who trained us, and that's who made this world that we live in.
Yes.
And we got a song by the Hip Hop Trio Plus.
Hey,
That's exactly that title. It's called
Yes.
"This Is the World We Live In."
let's do this.
Let's do it.
This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. Life has a purpose before we even came to existence. Everybody had a mission that we said we had to do. Beg the Most High to come back so that we can serve and fulfill what we said we here to do. But no, life isn't easy like that. We came into this world with a bunch of challenges, but luckily enough, the Most High got us blessed, giving us a grace that we naturally possess. So why do we sit around acting like we don't? Got so many gifts that we naturally own. We get here for greater things, we can feel it in the soul. Gotta go deep, gotta search the unknown. This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. Talk to old Bay, give him pass to follow, not based on you. It's all kind of hollow, your own understanding is best for your being. It's all about knowing, it's all about seeing that you, the God sees the best. You believe it's all in your hands, don't be deceived.
Well, I got a few questions, cause I really get guessing. What would you do if you really knew you? We're on a mission.
Teaching you to listen, make images of what you hear.
Listening to the spirit.
Not mine,
It hears it, forgot what I feel.
not near.
To the power of you release.
This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. This is the world we live in. You can choose to transcend it. You can choose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That is the world we live in.
Yes.
But you can choose. This is a selection. This is a purposeful act. You can choose to transcend this world we live in.
Yes.
The trivalent understanding noetics will change how you function in as little as 133 seconds. But more importantly, we will give you information that you absolutely must have about you. Y, period, O, period, U, period. And that stands for your own understanding, which your government has chosen not to give you. I always wanted, while I was in school, to be taught how I worked,
Yes.
how human beings work.
Yes.
How does a mind work? How does a body work? How does a spirit function? There is no place in our training system where that is exposed at all.
No.
None of us are taught us. None of us are taught how we work.
Right.
Yeah, it's all a money thing, because as long as you don't know how you work, I can charge you
Yes.
for getting rid of symptoms. Not diseases, symptoms. We do not have a health care system. We have a disease treatment system. And this has been known and discussed for at least the last, when did I write that letter to the American Public Health Association? About 15 years ago.
Okay.
So at least for the last 15 to 20 years, this has been something that has been known and not discussed at all because too many people are making too much money treating your diseases. If they gave you the means to treat them, cure them, or not get them, they wouldn't get paid.
Well,
and they don't want
the way
that.
they see it.
Yeah, that is the way
That's
they see it.
disabling.
It is stupid, but it's pink. It's what Europeans have been doing for 2,000 years.
It's the world we live in. We can choose to
Transcend.
it.
All right, y'all. That's it. That's the show for today. I think we need to say goodbye, but before we say that, we need to say peace, which stands for proper education. Always corrects error.
Oh, you made it to the end of the video. Well, I am tired a little bit differently. I'm dressed as Baba Amwa. If you would like more of your own understanding, like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
And go to the sites that we have listed around us. The Most High is good.
And the ancestors are kind
Thanks
for having us on your minds.
Peace.